Just developing code doesn't make us a better Aosp engineer or Android system developer. We need something else to take our career to the next level. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Mohammed and today I'm going to share 7 essential topics that help us to have an easier day-to-day job, plus empowering us to take our career to the next level and having a enjoyable job. The first one is the Repo tool. You might be a bit surprised. I can understand. The Repo tool might be used just one time for initializing repo, and then after some time you might need to sync your project. If you are working in a big project or in a big company with lots of developers and contributors to the Aosp code, you need to sync your code usually every week. If you don't need to sync it every day, you usually need to sync it every week. This weekly sync might face some issues. For example, you might see some head issues for the Git repositories. You might face some issues with manifest files. So you need to understand the problem first and know how to solve it. It can help you to save lots of hours. I have seen lots of developers in big projects and big companies that they spend lots of time to fix their repo. Why? Because initializing and syncing in from scratch might take a day sometime. Just read and understand how Repo tool works, then your life will be easier. The next one is about build system, including 3 important topics: variants, Android blueprints, and makefiles. The variants are important because usually when you are working on a project about Aosp, you will have different variants. One of them might be for emulator, the others might be based on the market that you are delivering your project, or the hardware as well. And you need to know where to find a specific package or configuration that you are looking for. For example, you might need to add some new SELinux rules. You might need to add some permissions for a specific project. So you need to find it quickly and not wasting lots of time, otherwise you will be in a loop. Android blueprints and makefiles, on the other hand, are maybe so important or more important than variants. Why? Because they are base of the variants. You will define the variants usually as a part of makefiles, or you define or add the application, projects, and packages through some Android blueprints or makefiles. These two different way of working with the packages within Aosp might be a bit confusing, but just for information, Android blueprints are based on Bazel, which comes from Google, which was introduced by Google a long time ago, and it's one of the cleanest build system that you can work with. But for some reasons, Aosp code has not migrated to Bazel yet. But you can see that Linux kernel that being used in Aosp migrated completely to Bazel. Makefiles have some facilities or capabilities that Android Blueprint could not bring to the table. For example, you can have condition there. If you want to do something like conditions, adding some condition, defining some specific maybe loops or something like that, Android Blueprint doesn't support them. So you need to do them through some pre-compiled scripts, some other facilities that are defined within Android blueprints through some shell scripts, Python code, and others. So variants, Android blueprints, and makefiles are the other 3 essential topics that we need to know and understand to find our way easier and being able to configure Aosp to get what we are looking for, or what is aiming for. IPC mechanisms are the next important topics here. Wherever you look into Aosp, from application layer to how, you will see footprint of AIDL. AIDL is the most important inter-process communication within Aosp. Especially when you are communicating from framework that through some APIs you're calling some services. Here, what's happening is through AIDL. If you have a daemon or native application developed by C++ or Rust and you want to communicate with them, it will happen through AIDL. And you can see that AIDL goes everywhere, so take that so serious and understand how it works, because under the hood you will see lots of AIDL interfaces and parsable. Essentially, if you are working within system services and framework, look into that and understand. Number 6 is SELinux. SELinux working at the heart of the Aosp, protecting unauthorized access to the services and system resources. If you are dealing with application layer as a normal app developer, you will just deal with permissions, and there are normal permissions. But when it comes to the system level, and particularly if you are adding new services that they have some AIDL interfaces, you need to config SELinux policies. You need to add the required roles to the system to be able to communicate with them. If that's a communication with a daemon, if that's a communication with a system or vendor-specific application or service, or if that's a new system services that developed by you, for all of them, you need to understand how to add the required SELinux policies. Of course, there are some recommendation or some ready to use or ready to run commands in Google documents, but they are not enough. If you have added a specific services, you need to go beyond that. The last one, surprisingly, is about debugging tools. There are some tools like ADB, LikeCat, DOMSys, and systrace. And there are other tools as well within Aosp that you can utilize based on the problem or what you are looking for. And based on the layer that you are developing your code, each tool or service will provide you some specific utilities and functionalities. For example, if you are working with daemons developed with C++ or Rust, you might need to work with systrace. But in most of the cases that you are working with system services or application layer framework on top of Android, which they have been developed by Kotlin or Java, you just need to stick to LikeCat or maybe ADB, or maybe getting some information from the system through DOMSys. So these tools, concepts, and topics could empower you to take your career to the next level and having a better performance and having a enjoyable day-to-day job. Hope you have found this video helpful, and if you like that, please hit the like button. See you in the next